as an originator and being an originator for 20 years, what are the main things you do? Give me a picture of, okay, I mean, are you taking the application? Do you have somebody taking it for you? Are you doing this scenario and structuring the deal, or do you have somebody doing it for you?
No, I mean, so I use the perfect loan process, and I enter the transaction at the highest dollar value points, and at the most important pieces, and that's it. So um, uh, it depends on the market. And this market is obviously different than a traditional market. A traditional market, an inquiry comes in, as you know, by email. I use signature templates all day long. I have a standard signature template that tells them how excited I am to work with them and includes my brochure and all the next things that are going to happen and how great their experience is going to be. And it involves them immediately scheduling a consultation with my loan partner. My loan partner takes the consultation, we use Mortgage Coach, prepares Mortgage Coach and all the options, schedules the callback, and then I review the options with the customer. And that either moves to a refi conversion or a purchase pre-approval from there. And the follow-up then moves on to the loan partner again. So in an ideal situation, the only time I enter the process is at presentation of options and point of sale. And nowadays in this heavy refinance environment, I do those almost all by video. So it's very common that the options are prepared. I take them through them by video to watch on their own, and then they just automatically convert and move to the next person. And in a lot of cases, aren't even talking to them.
So yeah, that's what I was just going to
But I'm
ask you.
selling.
So you're really not talking to your customer. You're giving them valuable information. They know who you are from video, but you're not spending time in conversation.
I'm talking to about half of them, Dan, and I'm answering their questions by email at the front part of the process. So when I still have the baton, once they're prospects, until they say yes, until that prospect becomes, a loan, it's my baton for the most part. Though the very upfront piece, that initial call with all the questions that could take 45 minutes, that's someone else. Because somebody can do it 80% as good as you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I agree. It's been it's been a challenge. My wife's an originator, and she's about at that 20-25 loan a month level. So she's doing really well, and she's trying to build her team. And I'm suggesting she call people like you because or Tim because she's kind of stuck on customers. I'm sure want to know who they're doing their loan through, and you're the one that they've heard to go to. So, she feels that she needs to be involved in the transaction, and I know better.
Yeah, as Tim
So
would say, that's a story she's telling herself.
yeah,
No,
absolutely.
people don't want necessarily you. They want a quick response with an accurate answer. And once they get that, as long as it's your team, it doesn't matter. They'll be happy with you. And a good example of that is if somebody popped on the social survey and read my reviews, they would see that people mention me as much as they mention my team in that. So the only way to get to that next volume level is to empower your team and to sell downhill so that you can get your customers super excited about the next person in the process that you're going to pass
I
the
love
baton
that.
on to.
I love that. So I'm sure you're in a lot more rate conversations for some reason than you've been in the last 20 years. Um, I don't know if that's the result of social media or just rates dropping. How do you deal with that conversation, and who deals with it on your team?
So Dan, I'm probably an anomaly in this sense. I'm not involved in as many of those. My customers aren't asking as many of those things as they would because one, in this environment, it's a massive amount of repeat customers and clients who I've done right by the first time, and they know that I'm going to be honest with them the second time. And two, the largest source of my business is financial advisors. And when a client comes through a financial advisor referral, it's a warm referral. Generally,
Right.
there's not a lot of price competition and rate shopping around it. I lead with my best price first on the Mortgage Coach, and that generally gets them converted. If there's pushback on it, I always offer to look at whatever else somebody's looking at to make sure it's apples to apples. And if it's a good company and they're legitimately better, I explain the pros and cons, and if they go, they go.
Got it. Got it. I think that's great. And like I said, everybody seems to be in that conversation a little bit more. I think you're right. Where they're coming from, if they're coming from an advertisement for rates, which we don't do, I'm sure they're coming to us for rates. But when they're coming to you because somebody tells them to call Craig, it's a different story.
Yeah, if
Now,
they come
what
to you for rate, they're going to leave for rate.
exactly? Purchase refi. What's your break right now? Breakdown.
I mean, right now it's crazy refi, as you can imagine. I mean, it's like 80-20 in
Right.
refi. A typical year for me is about 50-50.
Oh,
I do a lot of business with divorce lawyers as well as financial advisors. So I get refi business in non-refi markets because those are non-rate sensitive transactions.
right. Wow. So your way of doing business and what you learned from Tim, how do you pass that down to the rest of the people on your team?
I run what's called a team training throughout my company. And I do it a couple times a year where we talk about the perfect loan process and how to set yourself and your team up for great success with the customer and how to use that process as a marketing tool as well and to improve your lifestyle by being a whole lot less reactive and a lot more proactive. So I train my team on that piece. I also bring tools to them. We have a pretty significant tech stack, all the usual suspects that you've heard of, but we have most of them in our firm. And so I use those tools and I train my team regularly with coaching sessions and webinars as to how to efficiently use the tools we have to move through your loans quicker and more efficiently and build more. Bottom line, it's all about reactivity. If you can proactively status and have time for white space prospecting, everything else is going to work itself out.
Yeah. So you mentioned lifestyle. So how do you spend the rest of your time? I mean, how many hours a day are you working? When's your day start working? When does it typically end?
It all
If it
depends if
ends?
we're talking about the current environment or a typical
Current
environment, right?
environment. Current
Uh,
environment.
Current environment, I'm before I'm logged in, I check emails a little bit, right? Maybe right before, right after my workout, just to clear it out. That's in the morning. I'm at my desk by like probably about 9:15, 9:30. Some days as late as 10. I go all day, and then around 6:30, since the wife and kids are around, which is great. I take a break for a couple hours. Well, happy hour begins. My wife and I cook some dinner together, eat with our sons, and then when that's over, we spend an hour watching a show together, and then she goes to bed around 9. And on a busy day, which we are now, I will oftentimes fire the laptop back up to get through everything and clear it out in the morning so that I can get to my desk at 9:30 or 10 rather than at 7. So I'd rather work at night and clear it all out when I have quiet time and get ahead of it and send my proposals out. And the next day in the morning, people say, I want to lock in, I want to move forward. And waking up to that is a really great, huge smile on your face to wake up to that. Let's lock in and go. It makes you want to work out and, have a great day.
Yeah. So and you're doing the cooking and the spending time with the family every day?
Again, in this environment, before we quarantined in COVID, family dinners were not happening a lot.
Right.
Running around, I was coaching hockey, picking up kids everywhere, so that wasn't happening. In this environment, since everybody's home all the time,
Isn't it
yes,
great?
sometimes we cook together. Sometimes one of us does it or not, but we do have family dinner every night, which is something that did not happen before this.
And that probably helps, knowing that you've already spent time with your family. It's much easier going to work, not having any guilt or concern that you haven't touched their life today.
That's
That's
right.
pretty cool. That is really good. So in this environment that we're in, I mean, how do you see this building out? Do you see this lasting a long time? Do you see uh, this changing anytime soon?
I can't speak to the public health part of it other than to say that, until we have a vaccine, I see us staying apart a decent amount so everybody gets super comfortable. So I think that's a little weird. I think we're going to see a lot of mortgage action on this thing for a while. The rates are going to stay low. The Fed's told us what's going on. We see what the markets are doing. So I think there's going to be plenty of refis for a long time. And I think we're going to see a massive increase in purchase volume. All those people that didn't buy when we were quarantined in March and April, they didn't go anywhere. They still want to buy. And now they want to buy even more because they're even more miserable in their space. So I think when this thing is over, people are going to be moving from the city to the burbs who are millennials who are waiting and our urbanization and the kids and they're busting out of their place. And I think people who've been in the burbs forever who maybe live alone, who felt really isolated, might consider moving into the cities to the extent it's safe. So I think we're going to see a lot of transactional purchase volume both ways. I also think with what's going on socially in our country, we might see a nice spike finally in minority home ownership and a lot of programming from the government around that to really push that. And I think that is going to be great. So I think if you're in the mortgage industry, one, you're super lucky. And two, if you're doing the right things, you should be busy for a while to come.
So what's the top two or three pieces of advice you would give an originator that hasn't been through this before? I mean, we haven't been quite, in the twos ever, and
Yeah.
dealing with the other stuff, working at home, being forced. What top three pieces of advice would you like to give originators out there in the world?
People, systems, and invest in yourself. So first, get the right people on your team. Use the disc profile. Spend the $40 with the Tony Robbins website to figure out what the personality is of the people that fit in right position. Then develop a perfect loan process and have specific systems in place so that you can do high amounts of volume. And three, don't wait for your company to pay for your marketing. Invest 15 to 20% of your revenue every year in your budget. Bring on all the tools that you need to be super efficient and successful. Become your own corporation under your company's umbrella. Invest in yourself. Listen to things like this and learn best practice from other originators. To this day, I still read industry publications every day, listen to podcasts, call other friends from around the country, do site visits, go on retreats, do all those things to learn, swipe, and adapt from other loan originators that are willing to share. And once you get to the point where you're successful, share what you've learned as well, just like this today.
I love it. Yeah, in your history, what kind of mistakes have you seen loan officers make when they get extraordinarily busy like they are right now?
Well, one is that, you talked about it before, that story they're telling themselves where they feel like, oh my God, the realtor's only using me because I'm me and they can't talk to my team and I have to do everything myself. That's a mistake. Uh, replying to emails and phone calls at all hours of the nights and weekends, which does nothing more than train people that it's okay to do that to you and make you reactive all the time. Working with referral partners that don't respect what you do. Realtors who have people call you on Sunday to say, just get a quote and give out 3 names and don't let you pre-approve them. That'll sap your energy really quick as well. That's why I love working with financial advisors. They don't give out 3 names. They don't work weekends, and people pay for their advice, so they follow it. Picking your referral partners very selectively and going above and beyond for them so they see the value in working with you, ideally exclusively.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. One of the things that I've seen historically when we get into a market like this is people think it's going to last forever, and they start making decisions around their life like, this is going to go on forever, and then we see a tick up. Refis stop. They didn't nurture new relationships or take care of their existing relationships, and they're starting their business all over again. And that's what I'm preaching to our team about. Perspective, gratitude. Build your business during these times. Don't just be an app taker. Don't just focus on the money you're going to make. Focus on the business you're building. And you told everybody exactly how. I mean, it's significantly more sustainable when you're focused on the people on your team and the systems. And yeah.
I agree on the realtor piece too, Dan. Like now's a great time to be calling realtors because they're a little less busy and they're about to get really busy, and all the loan officers are disappearing working on refi. So hold town hall Zoom meetings and explain to realtor teams what is going on in the industry right now, what they should expect, why the product mix has shrunk, when it's going to come back. So be that source of information, be that center of influence for the realtors so that they have to turn to you. Start blogging about what's going on, create videos for them, whatever you got to do to educate them and stay in touch with them. Now's the time to create that value. And now's the time that they're all sitting at home with nothing to do and loan officers aren't calling them because they're all working refi. So it's a tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, man, that's big. Craig, you've been a wealth of knowledge, and I really thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and I'll definitely reach out to you again. Especially now that I know you're connected with Tim. He's a
Same
good
here,
buddy.
Dan.
He's a good buddy of mine as well, and I mean, we go back many years. So um, I really appreciate your time. How could people get a hold of you if they need to?
My company is Apex Home Loans, and my email is craig@apexhomeloans.com.
Pretty simple.
Yep.
All right, Craig. Have a great day.
Thanks, Dan. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye-bye.